Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Hopefully you guys are having a good day. Today I wanted to review my Cleveland Ironworks small pellet stove here. It's rated 800 square feet, but depending on where you get the stove, they'll rate it 8 to 1200 feet. It's a small, nice little unit. I want to share my thoughts and opinions on a few things with you guys today, and you guys can make the decision whether you want it for yourself or not. So first thing, what you get with the stove. Obviously, you get a manual, you get a little remote, and you get a multi-tool here that's kind of bent. I use this to clean the stove, just to do maintenance, that sort of thing. First of all, let's talk pricing. So, the places that sell this stove are Lowe's, Rural King, Ace Hardware, Tractor Supply, and the Home Depot. The Home Depot, I can't find it on their website anymore, but I literally just saw it at the store in person 2 days ago when I was there getting some other things. At the time, now this was in person, up at the Home Depot, it was Cleveland Ironworks. It was $1,100. Lowe's, they rebranded it as a Master Forge. It's $900. Rural King is $800 for the same exact stove, Cleveland Ironworks. Ace Hardware is $1,100. And Tractor Supply actually has two variations of this. One is the Grand Teton Collection Jackson pellet stove, and that one's $900. And the Cleveland Ironworks version, which is what this is here, is $100 more at $1,000. The only difference between those two stoves at Tractor Supply is the display is a little bit nicer on the Jackson. If you want to save $100 and get a nicer display, I would definitely go that route. But every other single feature is exactly the same stove. I mean, it's up to you whether you like the nicer display and want to save $100 or you want to go with this. It's up to you. It really doesn't make a difference to me. So I got this stove here used off Facebook Marketplace for $400. It was used one season before I got it, so it had a little bit of time on it. I've had it now for a few months. I've had zero issues with it, but I will say with it being a smaller stove, there's definitely more maintenance involved with this. Let me get that open. I haven't had that open in a few days. The ash pan is a little bit smaller, as is the burn pot, so it's going to fill up a little bit faster. You're just going to have to keep an eye on it. Depending on how much you use it, how much you're going to have to clean it. The hopper that you put pellets in is an 18-pound hopper, which is a little bit less than half of a bag. That can be kind of annoying if you're trying to heat home with this, but I have it out in my shop here. I have my pellets close by, so it doesn't bother me. I just check it every hour, hour and a half, put a cup or two of pellets in. I keep mine in a plastic rubber tote, and I keep a cup in there about this tall, and whenever it needs pellets in it, I just slide the tote over, dump them in, shut the lid, and move on. My next video, I'm going to actually make a hopper extension for this, where I'm going to flip the lid up. I'm going to actually take the lid off and build an extension out of metal that comes up to probably about here, just to give me more time in between fill-ups. It's not very big, but the reason I went with such a small one is you see the space that I had to work with here. I had a oil furnace here previously, so it kind of limited my space, and I didn't want to shorten my workbenches up at all because they're both like perfect for the projects that I work on. And right now I'm storing a bunch of stuff on them because I have a race car that's all tore apart behind the camera. So I have parts laid out in order, that I took them off the car and things like that. So that's why it's such a mess in here, so I apologize about that. So the features of this stove, it's just like any other pellet stove. It's just a smaller, slimmer version. You could actually use this in a mobile home, in a hunting cabin, in a shop environment like this. The possibilities are endless, but I would not want to put it in, let's say, like a bi-level, like a split-level home, something like that. If you're going to just keep it in the basement or something, that'd be fine. But as far as putting it in a big home, obviously, it's only rated for 8 to 1,200 square feet. So you're going to be pretty disappointed if you put it in a big house. But if I have it out here in a shop setting, for me it does fine. I let it run for 20-25 minutes before I really come out here and get started, and then when I do, I can take my outer layer off and I can work out here in a t-shirt. Right now it's about 16 degrees outside, and it is 60 degrees in here, and I've had this off for about 10 minutes or so to let it cool down so I could touch it to do the video. So the one thing about the big box store stoves that I wanted to talk about is the parts availability, and that's something that you're really going to have to take into consideration whenever you're looking at these kind of stoves. Most of the time, whenever you buy a stove like this from a big box store, hardware store, whatever have you, you're not going to be able to get replacement parts where you buy the stove. You might get lucky and they may be able to order parts for you, but if you have this in your house as your main source of heat, I would strongly reconsider that because of the parts availability. Everything that I found that I have to get for this stove, like maintenance-wise, like blower motors, auger motors, anything like that that you're going to, is eventually going to fail. I'm not saying it's going to for a while, but eventually things do wear out. Everything is online, so that's something to definitely consider if you're thinking about picking one of these up. Now, if you have it out in a garage setting like I do here, that's not a big deal for me. I can heat the garage with other heat sources that I have out here, like I have a propane heater. I have a couple other things around here I can use to warm the shop if absolutely need be, but I would not put one of these in my home and have it as my only source of heat and rely on these. You're probably good for a couple of years, but after the 4 or 5 year mark, I would get really cautious to see if they're actually going to survive that long. I'm not real sure. This is only the second year, so this stove is 2 years old. I've had it for probably 5 months now, so it's worked fantastic for me. The only reason that the people were selling it was they were getting up there in age. They had it in the back room of their house, and lifting the bag of pellets up was becoming a chore for them. It's hard. Whenever you get a ton of pellets, you have to find a place to store them. You have to move them around, load them off of the truck, stack them up, that sort of thing. It was becoming too much of a chore for the owners, so they decided to go to a propane source where a guy comes and fills the truck up. It's a little bit more expensive, but for them it's zero maintenance. They just have someone come out and check the stove out, check for leaks yearly, and they were, that suited them just fine. But with any pellet stove, you're going to have to consider the maintenance involved with them. Clean the chimney, just general care, cleaning the glass, just overall looking at the stove to make sure that it's in perfect working order. So you want to stay on top of these. Definitely keep them clean. That's the secret to the efficiency with these things. When they start getting filled up and they have a bunch of ash in there, they start burning a little less efficient. The flame isn't as hot. It's not circulating the air properly. Like, there's a lot of things that go into that, and you want to keep on top of these. So with a smaller stove, you're going to have a lot more of that. So tools that I recommend that you get with a pellet stove, any shape or size, is definitely one of these picks right here. This just happens to be an icon, but any pick with that sort of a shape to it, and at least one brush, one small brush. If you can get a pipe cleaner, which is basically a metal rod with a spiral brush on it, it looks like a toilet brush, but a smaller version. If you can get your hands on one of them, I'd recommend those as well. So let's bring you in closer here and look at the stove. I'm going to open it up so you can see the burn pot, where the ashes go, and that sort of thing. Got my light. Alright, now I'll bring you in closer here. So, as I was saying before, everything is just a smaller version of what a bigger one is. And one thing with these stoves especially that you want to watch out for, let me get you off the pedestal here, is these 4 air tubes up here. They go to your heat exchanger. Ash builds up on those quite often, and that's where I take my pick and I run it around those 4 holes up there just to make sure I'm keeping everything clean. The burn pot actually comes out. This whole unit lifts out of there, so you can clean that and clean under it. The ash pan comes out right here, so you can dump it out. If you're going to get a pellet stove of any sort, I would definitely recommend getting a dedicated ash vacuum. Usually they're metal. They're around $80, but I would recommend getting one of those over using just a regular, like a shop vac style. Now for maintenance, these side panels have an Allen head screw right in here, so you can pop the panel out to get to the blower motors, anything like that that you need. Close that up. Up top here, you have your cleaning rods. You have 4 of those that go through your heat exchanger. You just pull these up. I do this once a day, and then whenever I'm done doing all of them, I'll actually vacuum this area out. Put that cover back on. Here's the hopper I was talking about. It's just a cute little thing. I mean, here's my hand for reference. You know, it's a small little thing, but that holds 18 pounds of pellets, supposedly. Here's your display with all your settings on it. These little white freckles, specks, I wouldn't pay any attention to them. The previous owner was actually spray painting something next to it, and they got some spatter on it that I have to clean off. One of my other videos I mentioned that, but I still haven't gotten to it yet. It's been really cold out here, and I just didn't feel like messing with it yet. So it says goodbye now because I shut it off a little bit ago to film this video, obviously. But now I'm going to start it back up. Just going to use my little remote, hit the power on button. It goes through a cleaning cycle, and that's just to basically get any ash that's built up in there and out of those tubes evacuated from the stove, and then it will and it'll go into light mode, which right now is still in cleaning. So I'll shoot a quick shot of what it looks like when it's running, and yeah, I would recommend this stove for anyone who's trying to heat a shop or a small area. No matter what name is on it, what brand it is, they're all the same stove. I mean, they just put a different logo on here. That is literally it. The Jackson series, like I was saying, they put a different display on there, and that you save $100 on that. So, you know, the choice is yours for that. I have mine elevated and kind of sitting in a goofy position because that's where the oil furnace was. I have a second piece of concrete board that I put on this side. However, I just took that off to get into the side panel just to look over everything and inspect it, which I'll do a more in-depth video of how to clean these at a later date. But, you know, I was just getting in there, just checking things over today just to make sure everything was fine. And I just have 2 screws on each side, one there, one down there for each panel, so they're just a real quick pop it out, do your maintenance, put it back in, put 2 screws in it, you're good. So I'm going to put that up here as soon as I'm done filming this and get back to normal. But right now it's dropping pellets in there. See, it's actually in the lighting mode now. So this doesn't take very long. So a question that I get asked quite a bit whenever people come in here and they look at this, they're like, how do you keep your glass so clean? And what do you clean it with? Well, every day before I use my stove, I take water and a towel, and that's it, nothing else. I don't use any abrasive cleaners, no Windex, Simple Green, nothing like that. I use just water and a towel, and I'll clean this up. And you want to do that when the glass is cold and not hot, because you do run the possibility of cracking it if you put cold water on it. So now it's still dropping pellets in. That light's kind of giving you, there you go. Now you see a little bit better. This will light up here momentarily. I can see it in there. Can't really see from my reflection, but I'll bring you back when it starts up. There we go, it's starting to light. Takes off pretty easily. Depends on what kind of pellets you have in there. If you have some really, really crappy ones, it takes a little bit longer, but I should have just kept filming because it was like 30 seconds after I stopped the video. But yeah, there it is. Takes off pretty quick. Takes nothing at all to start warming up that top plate there. Oh my god, that's crusty. I gotta clean that. But anyway, it warms that top plate up there. There's the temperature sensor, and then it kicks on the fan that comes out through here, and then you have heat. I'd say from the time you kick the stove on to when it starts blowing heat, it's probably 2.5 or 3 minutes. That's it. It's up and running. It's a nice little easy machine to use. I would say overall for a garage heater, I give it 2 thumbs up. I would definitely buy it again. Even at full price, I would definitely buy this little stove. I think it's a nice alternative to the big ones that are selling for $2,500, $3,000, you know, stuff like that. Just for what I'm using it for, this little guy is perfect. I couldn't be happier with it, that's for sure. So let me know what you think down in the comments. Would this be something for you, or would you have to have something bigger? Thanks for watching, guys. Take care, and I'll see you on the next one.